Hi, we are live. Today is Thursday, December 30th. I think there's an echo in the room. So I don't know if my guest has maybe her laptop and her iPhone on. I don't know. We'll have to check that.
Did you hear
Anyway,
that?
just if you hear
There's an echo in the room.
there's an echo in the room. So if you're clicking us live, in the comment, type in #live. Thank you. No more echo. Great. If you're watching the replay, #replay. And do tell us where you're coming in from. You know, I'm always coming in from Mexico, and my guest today is from the USA, and we'll find out exactly where. Now, I like to say a few things about what we have in common. My guest today, we have the same coach, world class coach for a year, Maya Comerota. We also have the same influencers, Brenda Bouchard and probably a few others. But the great thing is
Turn it
we
up.
are both ex-credentialed teachers. My guest used to teach middle school history, and I taught foreign language in high schools in the Bay Area in California, actually. We're both entrepreneurs. So without any further ado, let's meet my awesome guest, Colleen Barker Low. Hi, Colleen.
Hi, gorgeous. How are you?
Hi, thank you. You're the one that's so gorgeous today. Thank you. I know we had a few techie problems, but you know we always get them solved.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah,
Does it sound okay to you now?
absolutely. I don't know what the echo was, but somebody took care of it. And I love it. I love it. I love it.
Isn't that
So,
fun?
you know, I know how busy you are, Colleen. So thank you for taking the time for being here. I'm really honored by your presence. Really, it's too much.
Oh, of course. I'm thrilled to be interviewed by you and
Thank
share.
you. Well, first of all, tell us where in the USA you are coming in from.
I live in Southern California in a small town called Seal Beach, California. It's about a half hour south of Los Angeles, and I'm in Orange County.
All right, were you born there? Were you a native Californian?
Yeah, I'm third
Oh,
generation Long Beach, California, and Seal Beach is the town next door to Long Beach. So I'm about 5 minutes from where I grew up. Isn't that funny?
wow. So how was it growing up in California? I mean, you know, there you are, a blonde. I always think of blondes with long hair walking on the beach, you know, the California beauties. How was it, you know,
You
growing
know,
up
I
in
loved it. I have really white skin because I'm a redhead, strawberry blonde.
Uh-huh.
And but we went to the beach every day. I had a pool in the backyard growing up, and we went swimming all the time. And I didn't know any different because this is where I grew up. You
Right.
know, I didn't realize that we live in a huge city, even though I'm in a smaller town. But it's just a continuous sprawl of people. But we don't have any weather except for right now. We're having like probably I think the most rain and coldest winter of our history. Maybe not the worst, but really a lot, which is nice. Something different because it's about 75, 80 degrees here almost every day. So
Oh, wow. That's exactly what my weather's like. That's why I moved to Mexico, and a lot of expats followed me too,
yeah, what
unfortunately.
part of Mexico are you in?
It's just a little village outside of Guadalajara, 40 miles, which, you know, Guadalajara is the second biggest city in Mexico. And it's 40 miles up in the mountains, so the weather is perfect all the time. And it's not like I'm on the beach where in the wintertime it's beautiful, in the summertime you can't stand the heat, you know.
Yeah.
So that, but you know, there are 20,000 expats here with me, so we're
Wow.
all, I know, we all enjoy this beautiful weather, just like you have in California. So tell me, if I were to ask you, Colleen, who is Colleen Barker Low? You know, if you had 3 minutes to tell me who you were, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, interesting. I would describe myself as a daughter of God who's here on earth to spread love and light to
Okay.
other people and help connect people. And especially if people are going through hell, my goal is to take buckets of water back to them and help uplift and encourage people because I've been through a lot of trauma in my life.
Mhm.
And it's nice when people can help each other. I'm a wife and a mother and have two kids. I'm a grandma. I'm a servant. I love to be an ambassador for God and I'm a philanthropist. I love to have fun. I like to paddleboard. I like to
Wow.
try new things. Yeah, I paddleboard on the ocean. Even in this rain, I've been going almost every day. Not when there was lightning, but because that's too
Right.
dangerous.
That would be too that would be too
Yeah.
dangerous for sure. So let me ask you another question, Maya. Maya, we have Maya Kumarota in common. How did you meet Maya?
What's so interesting is she was speaking on Dean Graciosi and Tony Robbins' stage,
Mhm,
and I had been looking for a coach to help me navigate. I always have had coaches the last 15 years since I started selling real estate.
mhm,
They've all been in the real estate industry. And I felt like I wanted to get a life coach, not just someone who could help me with my real estate business
right,
and take my life. I wanted to become an author. I wanted to become a transformational coach and speaker and do all these, other things with my life besides selling real estate. And I asked God to help me find someone who had my same values, like that cared about family and God, and that had a good heart and was
right.
generous and fun and kind. And when I saw her speaking, this voice in my head said, "There's your gal. You should align with her, sign up with her." And
Wow.
so that's how I found Maya. And she is amazing, and she's everything that I would have ever wanted in a coach and more.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. She is a really a world-class coach. You
Yeah,
know,
it's amazing. And even I love the group of people that have found her also because
right,
I'm new to the community.
right,
And it's such a nice, safe space. And we're all so dynamic and different, but everyone just loves and embraces each other. And it's not judgmental. And
right.
it's a safe place to do some inner work and look at yourself and figure out where your blind spots are and work on
Mhm.
that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Now, let's talk a little bit about your career as a real estate person. I think you've been in the real estate business for about 15 years. And are you in this business with your husband, or I mean, did you meet there, or can you tell us a little bit about your history there?
So I was a teacher, and
Mhm.
a kid, something happened at school that I decided that I didn't want to teach school anymore. A kid brought a gun to school,
Oh, well.
and I just decided I wanted to do something else with my life. I finished out the school year, and I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. And
Mhm.
a lot of people gave me ideas and stuff, and someone told me I should sell real estate, and I said I don't think I would be very good at that. I'm not good at sales. And someone else that's a top realtor, when I told them I was thinking about getting into real estate, spent like a half hour trying to talk me out of it. And so it's so funny. I told my husband when I got home, I figured out what I'm going to do with my life next. I'm going to sell real estate because so and so tried to talk me out of it. So they must see something in me that I don't see in myself.
Right.
So I started substitute teaching instead of teaching, and I got my real estate license. And then 3 days a week, I would work on real estate, and 3 days a week, I would substitute until I made enough money because it's very hard. I think it's a 90% failure rate in real
Right.
estate from people who get their license. And I eventually, I mean, I don't even have my credential anymore because I sell real
Yeah.
estate full time. And then I had John has been a broker for a long time. Even when we got married, he does commercial real estate,
Right.
and so we work together, but not completely together. But yeah, it is nice. We do work together, and I'm grateful for that because most people think we're crazy because we work together, and we
But it
do.
works out, right? It works
Yeah,
out.
we get along great. Yeah, it
Right.
works out for us. I mean,
So
sometimes we
he
want
actually does a different real estate than you do, right? You do houses for families, and he does
commercial
commercial.
buildings
Yeah.
and restaurants, and he does residential too. He does. I do the front end of our
Mhm.
business, and he does a lot of the back end of our business.
Well, how
I'm
did
the I'm the face of it.
you're the face? Okay, well, that's
Mhm.
cool. Tell me, did you meet your husband in while you were doing real estate? Did you meet before? Can you tell us that little story?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I was on a date with someone else. My cousins, some guy liked my cousin really well. My cousin and I grew up on the same street together, and we went to the same college together. Anyway, some guy really liked her, but he lived kind of far away. And so he was bringing 2 more friends with him on the date. So she had to bring 2 friends on the date. And so we were on this triple date, and there was an outside dance in a church parking lot. And Richard Blade is a big DJ, and he was DJing the dance in the parking lot, but also I think it was on the radio. And John was there, and I said hi to he said hi to me. I said hi, and but he's not going to ask me to dance because we're obviously in this threesome. And so, but he was so cute, like he was dressed boutique-y, like just, he was so put together and so cute. I was dying that I couldn't meet him. And then the people I was with, because I was still trying to figure out how to meet, go talk to John. They said, oh, we need to go now. We want to go out to eat. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm never going to see this guy again. And so right before we got in the car, I said, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I went and asked John to dance.
Oh my God. What a cool story that is.
And then neither one of us had pen or paper or anything. So he memorized my phone number, and he called me the next day, and we started dating. Isn't that funny?
And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, 35 years later, we're still married.
Wow. And you have 2 children, I understand, right?
3. I have 3 kids, 1 girl and 2 boys.
Okay. I want to ask you about your children in a minute, but now that we're talking about real estate, because I know that it's a good part of your business, although I know that you are going toward other things, you have bigger things in mind, and I'm going to also talk about those things. But at this point, what do experts predict about the real estate business for 2022? Can you, if anybody in our audience is looking for a home or a commercial office, what can they expect for 2022?
So inventory, as everyone is probably aware, but maybe not everyone, I don't want to assume anything, but most people have experienced the market this last year in 2021. And inventory has been very low. So for sellers, it's been fantastic for sellers, right? They're having, multiple offers on all the properties. Inventory is still really low. Interest rates are really low. So the buyer pool has opened up. And then homes, because of the pandemic, homes have become more important to people. They know that, they're more aware of their surroundings and what's important to them.
Right.
I think that inventory will still be low and prices will still continue to rise. I just think that interest rates are going to go up. The Feds in America, the Feds have said that they're going to raise the interest rates 3 times. They figure by the end of 2022, it'll be around 4%. Which is still really low. I mean, when we bought our first house, I think it was 10%. So, I mean, these are historically low, but it's still going to be, I think more inventory will come on the market, but it's still going to be a great investment if you're looking to invest.
Yeah, it's actually true in my little village. I mean, the real estate people are going around asking, do you want to sell your house? Do you want to, there's just no inventory.
Yeah. So, I door knock, call, write letters, beg people. You want to
move? Exactly. Let me tell you where to move to. Don't send them over here.
Yeah, it's like that everywhere in the United States.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, okay, so let's switch and let's go back to the mom that you are. You have 3 children. Now, I understand that you and your husband have had a great challenge, both of you, as parents, right? Can we talk a little bit about that, because it has our challenges help us determine who we are and how we respond to them. So would you feel comfortable talking about your son Carter and your son Mason?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Especially, my goal is, I'm a pretty open book, because some people judge me because I talk about these things, and I believe that we're all connected and we're part of a community. And I think that the more I share, I help a lot more people. I literally just met a lady in person who reached out. Somehow she knew someone who knew me that knew about my stories. And she had an employee that's on her team that had a son that was struggling with one of the things that one of my sons struggled with, and I was able to help her. And then the family reached out to me, and I spent an hour on the phone with them too. And so we'll start with Carter, because Carter's my youngest, and Carter was serving a mission for our church. He was in Houston, Chinese speaking. and he was gone for 14 months. And then we got a phone call one day, and they said that it looked like Carter had some supermasses on his lungs, and Salt Lake was trying to find him a flight home. We're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the guys in the white shirts and the black badges that come knock on your door. So Carter was out serving, and he was helping with Hurricane Harvey. They just had that huge hurricane in Texas. They were mucking out people's houses every day. I knew something was wrong with Carter. He didn't look good on the last video chat we'd had with him. And what we came to find out, he flew home the next day, and we prayed about what hospital to take him to. We checked into the hospital we felt comfortable with. It is funny that because we live in a huge metropolitan area, we have the best technology and resources. But what we found out over the course of the next 10 days is that Carter had 100% coverage of his lungs, his kidneys, his sacrum bone, his hip bones, his lungs, his throat, everywhere. Carter had cancer, a very aggressive cancer everywhere. And so we had the opportunity to learn a lot about cancer and cancer patients and relying on God and miracles and prayers and stuff like that. So that's Carter.
My notes. This is why you have been through hell, and now you're taking buckets of water back to those still consumed by the flames, as you say, right? I mean, you could be so helpful for people who are going through the same challenge, And I think also you had a challenging, situation with your younger son, right? Mason, I think his name.
Mason's my older son, and my older son. I'm not sure which came first, if he has brain health challenges or mental health challenges, or if addiction, because a lot of people with brain health challenges self-medicate with alcohol and drugs to slow their brain down or to make them, self-medicate.
Right.
So I'm not sure, or if the drug and alcohol abuse has triggered mental health challenges and brain health challenges. But since my son was about 13, 14, we've had the opportunity to grow and learn through his experimentation with drugs and alcohol and addiction. And we've had all kinds of, drug rehab, wilderness programs, jail, you name it. We've had the opportunity to grow. And it's interesting is even just last week, the holidays are very hard for people who have mental health challenges. It really triggers them. And we came home from seeing our new granddaughter, and Mason had an episode that didn't go well, and the police had to come, and it was very stressful. And I just know that if you're experiencing this, that it is a lot to take in, but also that Mason's taught me the most, out of all my kids. Carter, learning, all my kids have taught me. And I think I've stretched and grown with each, situation. If we choose, it can also totally wipe you out. You can just, right?
Exactly.
But the person I am today is a sum result of all these experiences, and then how I've chosen to react to it and process it. Because I look at them as challenges and opportunities to grow, and then some people look at it as problems. And but yes, it's a lot. Especially, Mason's 28 now, and so it's a long time to deal with it.
Yeah, I just was wondering, is it the challenge that you've had with your children that are kind of, directing you to be a transformational coach? How much influence has that had, on your decision to be a transformational coach? Because you have so much to share.
Yeah, I feel like, I forgot Mason was been homeless multiple times too. Yeah, it's a little situation. But, a lot. It's a lot. And it's so funny. And you receive a lot of judgment when you have kids with any situation. People are very, very compassionate about cancer, right? People are very compassionate when our son had cancer. But when you have a son who has drug and alcohol and mental health challenges, people are very judgmental, not everyone, but back to your question. Yes, I do feel like I don't know what everyone else is going through, but I do know how I process the situations. I do know that I have gotten stronger and stronger, and I have set things I do every day to
Hmm.
help me process my life in a more positive way. And I feel like these tools in my toolbox to help me not have nervous breakdowns on a continual basis from all the trauma and stress are things that I have spent a lot of time and money and courses and seminars and books I've read and groups and therapy. I've been to so much therapy, it's mind blowing. And anyway, all of these things that I feel like help me, I would like to help teach other people
Right.
and they can pick and choose the things that I do and to see which resonates best with them to help them process their life. Even if I help one person, this is my goal. If I can
Right.
just help one person process their life with more peace and grace, to be graceful to themselves and kind to themselves,
Right.
and to know that you can still have a great life and live in joy and appreciation even when you have opportunities to grow that are beyond your control. Like I don't have control over my son Mason. I don't have control over Carter or his cancer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I only have control over how I react to things.
Absolutely, how you respond. Absolutely,
Mhm.
I totally agree with that. I just want to let you know that everybody's backing you up here. Judith is saying, yes, you are so strong, becoming even stronger to help others who need your help. And someone, a Facebook user, I did forget to tell people, I usually tell them at the beginning to allow StreamYard to use your name. Otherwise, you come across as Facebook user. So we have a Facebook user here who says, yes, our kids teach us a lot. Oh my God, may your son be healing quickly. God bless him. So, people do understand. They, they're compassionate. And of course, there's Floor, who's with us, who says
Oh,
hi to my dear friends. We're
oh, I
both
love
good friends with her. And Magdi, who says, Hola, so beautiful to see you both. And so we have, it's so great to see. Oh, I know who the Facebook user is. It's Sally Abdel Aziz, and she's on my team, my Launch Lab team. So that's great. And then there's your husband, John. I do want to talk about John.
her.
Now,
Hmm.
John has got to be the most supportive husband that I know around for sure. Can we talk about how much he supported you and how much, how you almost like how could you live without John?
I cannot. I already told God, I've been through hell. It would be great if I could die first and John could die second. That would be a really good program for me. Not that it can always work out, but John Lowe was the best decision of my whole entire life. I got married young. I was very young when I met John. I was 20, 19 or
Hmm.
20. And John's 6 years older than me, and everyone thought I was crazy to marry him. I lived in Hawaii. I was going to Brigham Young University in Hawaii. And I transferred schools to Cal State Long Beach. Back here, I had to basically start over. And John is amazing. And, he's my hero. Mason, there's been so much trauma and stress. And I have to say that John always steps up to the plate 110%. And like when I decided to start a podcast, he bought all the equipment and we turned
Wow,
one of our rooms into a recording studio here. It's all set up, everything. He does the whole back end.
that's
For the
priceless.
Yeah, isn't that
Priceless.
amazing? Yeah, he does it all, the whole back end
Yeah.
of all of that, the YouTube channel. He figures out how to do it. I think that the best part is to be in love with the person that I'm married to and that I don't have the stress of, and I used to hate John. So we've had a lot of rough years in the beginning of our marriage
Mhm.
and horrible, horrible years, right, babe? He's right here. But yeah,
I know you can hear him in the background.
a lot of turmoil.
Hmm.
And that is you wouldn't know this, but I used to be the biggest complainer. I used to be really happy and joyful, and then our lives didn't turn out like how I thought they should turn out, which I guess they never do, right? And anyone else's life ever turn out the way you thought it was supposed to. And so I spent a lot of time complaining and being a victim because we had a lot of problems, and I didn't realize that my problems were my opportunities and the gems in my crown, right? I didn't understand that when I was younger. And so when I started, I was going to divorce John. And it's so funny. I had a dream, and there was this man in the dream that everything was just everything the way I would like it to be. And it was just amazing. And I'm like, I need to see his face. I couldn't see his face in the dream. And at the end of the dream, it was John. I'm like, so disappointed. How could it be John? Right? I'm like, this is horrible.
Is John listening?
Yeah, he's right here. He knows.
That's
And so literally, I was like, okay, we're going to fix this, right? Because I felt like it was a sign from God. And so I started working on me and reading books, and I started fixing me, and I fell back in love with John, and he fell back in love with me. And we got really serious about date night. Every Friday we go to Crystal Cove and walk on the beach, and we just really put our marriage first, and went to therapy and got help and went to seminars. And I have to say that I don't know your situation, but if you're in a marriage that you're unhappy, and I'm not talking about abuse, there was
yeah.
no abuse or anything in our marriage, but I'm just talking about where you've lost that special feeling and you're unhappy. I do know from experience that we fell back in love with each other, and I know that it was worth it, because we have the same history, that there are kids, there are grandkids, and we don't have to share that with other people. It's just John and I. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Well,
anyway,
that's
it was worth it.
well, that's a great story. Our Facebook user, I think it says, "So great, Colleen. I just want to read some of these beautiful comments." Judith is saying, "Beautiful." Let's see. Facebook. Oh my goodness, I love this dream. Channeled wisdom. Wow, I love
Mhm.
that. And I don't know what this means, but VORNGO. I have no idea. And so, thank you for the audience who is participating with us so live. We just love to see your comments and your reactions. Send us we love hearts, so just send those to us. They keep
We
us
do
going.
love hearts.
So, oh, we have Debbie Prediger, who's the
Oh, I
Facebook
love
user.
her.
Oh,
She's
yes,
so
she's
nice.
wonderful. She is absolutely wonderful. So I just before getting on this interview, I was listening to the Dean Graciosi's Inner Circle, and Debbie was on it, so I had to leave that to
Yeah,
come
she's
here.
moderating.
Yeah. So yeah, she is a moderator. So tell me. So now, I mean, you have the greatest story. I mean, so let's talk about you being a transformational coach, because you're in the transition, part of that part of your life. Um, are you thinking? Do you already have a niche, as they talk about the niche being your avatar, your audience, your ideal client? Would that be a
So
mom with children, or who would that be?
what's interesting is, um, I ran a free challenge, and had people sign up for the paid coaching after, and it was just, have you been through hell, and you'd like to live and joy, process your life in joy. So it was kind of a broad thing, and I loved it, because it really helped me refine how much can you cover in an hour, how
Right.
much can how deep do you want to go, what kind of homework, play work do you want to give them, anyway. So it was good, and I've been doing that, and I know I've been doing research about helping families who have kids with cancer or who have kids with addiction.
Right.
And I just not sure. I thought I could help them. I think I'm going to probably do maybe. It's interesting, at the book launch, I ended up had dinner with Ellie and sitting next to her, and I was just listening to everyone else talk to her, and after the book launch thing. And I asked her, can I ask you a question? And she said, sure. I said, a lot of people think my niche should be either helping families who have kids with cancer or kids with addiction issues. And I said, I'm just not sure. I've joined a bunch of Facebook groups to see, and I've been supporting people and talking to them to see if I could handle emotionally doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a pretty overwhelming to be in their groups. It's a lot. And she said, Colleen, it's very traumatic to help those people. You might want, she goes, I only take on one or maybe two people who are in severe trauma a year to help, and I coach them one-on-one. She says, but other than that, you probably need to find a niche that's not so traumatic so it doesn't bring you down all the time. And that's just her opinion and the other people's opinions. And so I'm been reflecting on that. I'm not sure, you know.
Yes, I have a comment here from, I think, Debbie, who is saying Ellie is interviewing me in her new TV show. I love her and her message. So thank you for sharing that with us, Debbie. So, it's still a work in progress. I mean, we are a culture in progress anyway. I
I
mean,
have to decide because I'm going to be recording a bunch of videos
uh-huh,
this next week. So I'm um, working on figuring that out because
exactly.
I might help the people who have kids with cancer, or I might help the kids who have, the parents who have kids with addiction. It is just, it
Do
is a
you
lot.
do you feel that you're going to be guided somehow? I mean,
I'm praying about it.
yeah, you're praying about it.
I'm
So,
praying about it and meditating on it.
mhm.
And because everyone has an opinion, but the person that I care about's opinion is me and God, So it's between me and God to figure that out. And what's the best path moving forward? Where can I have the biggest impact and help the most people? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have the Facebook views. I think it's Sally. I promise if you follow your joy, you will know exactly who and how you're to serve. So I'm sure we all kind of agree with that for sure. It's great advice. So, you mentioned book launch. I want to
mhm.
talk about that because you're an international best-selling author.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And
Thanks.
now, explain to me, I know that there were 43, maybe even 44 authors of this book. This book was called When Love Speaks. Can you tell us a little bit about the history, the launch, your participation in this, and how one becomes a bestseller when there's a collaboration of 43 other people?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I have on my mirror in my bathroom for the last 10 years that I'm a best-selling author. It's written on there.
Uh-huh.
And then when I joined Maya's group, the book was pretty much done, and it's called When Love Speaks. And Maya organized it and collaborated and invited a group of women and now two men, right? She asked everyone the same question. If you had 2 hours to live, what is the message that you would want to share and with the world? And then what's the story that's
Mhm.
attached to that? And so when she first asked me that question, I have a lot of stories because I've been through a lot. We all do. Everyone has a lot of stories.
Absolutely.
All of us have been through a lot, and all of us are going through a lot still and going to
Right.
go through a lot, right? There's seasons in our lives, and there's heavy seasons and happy seasons and
Correct.
peaceful seasons. Anyway, so I was writing it down, and I'd already started making a list because I met Greg Ming, another person through Maya,
Hmm.
and he told me, um, in a Facebook room once, Colleen, I need you to write down, make me a promise that you're going to write down all your stories. Your stories are just amazing. And then write them all down and make a folder so you have these stories so you can, use them in your work. And so I'd already started that. And so I wrote it down. And the story that I decided to share was about when my son had cancer. The book is just amazing. I hope you will read it because it's not just me. It's 43 other people and me, right? So there's
I've read
44
some,
of us
yeah,
total.
I've read some of the stories. Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I
They're
met,
amazing, right?
yes, absolutely.
And they will touch your soul. They'll inspire you. They'll uplift you. They'll help you heal. They'll give you hope.
Hmm.
But for me personally, my son almost died once when he had cancer. I knew something was wrong with him. And then we had walked into the room and they were trying to stabilize him. And I was angry at God because he was trying to take my son. And I yelled at God and I said, why are you trying to take my son? I didn't say it out loud because, of
Yeah.
course, I don't want to disturb. They're trying to save Carter, but it all went in slow motion because Carter, they're trying to get him stable. And um, I was yelling at God, and God put me in my place and said, you're telling me what to do. He's not your son. He's on loan to you, and you are telling me what to do. And I had this big epiphany. Oh my gosh, I'm
Wow.
telling the Almighty God what to do. Like, who am I, right?
Yeah.
And so it made me realize that life is temporary, even though we all know we're going to die. Death is guaranteed, right? But we don't think about it. We think it's going to be someday in the future, far away, and it
Absolutely.
can happen any day. And it just made me realize I made a list of everything I wished I would have done with my life, and I started doing all the things on the list. That's why I paddleboard in the ocean every day,
Huh?
almost like 6 days a week. I go out there and paddleboard, and I just doing all the things I wrote down. Best-selling author, transformational coach. I wrote all these things down that I wish I would have done. We all have the list of things. You guys know the stuff you think you're going to
Well,
do.
I sounds like a bucket list to me, but and in fact, the name of your story was the life list, right?
Yeah, the list.
The
Hmm.
list, right?
We all have it, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So you have manifested quite a few things on your list.
Hmm.
Paddleboarding. Why paddleboarding? I mean, I paddleboarded once, and it was just awesome. I loved it.
Isn't it amazing?
Oh, it's
It's
amazing. It's a
I
great
live
balancing act.
I live right by the ocean,
Yeah,
and I just thought, isn't it funny that I live so close and we walk on the beach, right? We walk every
mhm,
week on the beach, but why don't I ever go out on the water and try
right.
stuff?
So that's why you took up paddleboarding then.
Yeah, and
Was
it's magical. It is magical. Like yesterday, I was laying on my paddleboard looking at the snow covered mountains, and then I'm
wow,
on the ocean looking at snow covered mountains and palm trees. Crazy.
wow, that's unbelievable. I mean, what I mean, I just can't think of. You're on the ocean, you're looking at the mountains covered with snow. I mean, how does that happen? Only in Southern California, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
so. What mountains are covered there with snow? I mean,
The San Bernardino Mountains.
but so you can downhill ski also, which is another one of
Oh,
my.
yeah. Yeah, 2 hours from here you can ski.
Oh, how wonderful! So you live in a gorgeous place. It's a place that kind of inspires you, you know, even when you go out paddleboarding in the morning. So that is. What other things inspire you, Colleen?
I think that I do think that we can manifest anything. It's just our
Hmm.
energy. I'm really big on energy.
Okay.
And what inspires me is that I believe we're all magnets.
Hmm.
I don't believe it. I know we're all magnets, and you might not believe that, and that's fine. Like when I realized when I read Wayne Dyer's book, I can't think of what it's called, The Power of Intention,
Right.
and I read Esther and Jerry Hicks books about, I can't remember what it's called, but it was about bringing what you want into your life. And I was like, that's impossible. When I first read the concept that we're all magnets and we're attracting what we want, and I was like, I hate my life. I hate every aspect of my life, right? Oh, Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. So I'm like, that's impossible. I hate my life. I hate every aspect of my life. It's horrible, right? I cannot
Mhm.
possibly have attracted this to me. And then you know what I realized? I attracted it all to
Yes,
myself.
you
All of
did.
it.
And you told us about your husband. Look how what a magnet you were right there with
Yeah, he's
your husband.
awesome. Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
look
Yeah.
at that. I mean, yeah. So in all of your talking, I could tell that you magnetized. You were magnetic in all of those things that happened to you. So how wonderful is that? So tell me, what's next for you and your husband? I'm saying you and your husband because you are a duo for sure. I can see
Mhm.
it. And
Well, I watch a video. I made a video. When I say I made a video, if you know me, I'm technology. Up until now, technology is challenging for me. So I, with John's help, made a video what our ideal life looks like.
wow.
And I would love to impact as many people as possible. I feel like a lot of people are, especially now, there's so much uncertainty in the world. I would like us to spread love and light to as many people as possible through the YouTube channel and podcast. And I'm going to write my own book. And I just feel like, I think because of we just had a traumatic experience last week with our son. And I think we were looking at taking, just having a little downtime. But I think that God willing that we wake up every day, that together that we are going to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to figure out how to be. I'd like to have 1 million subscribers to my YouTube channel and have all those millions of people that ripple out love and peace and hope. I really want people to believe, because if you don't have hope for the future, um, depression, especially whether it's clinical depression or depression that's from traumatic experiences, because I mean, let's be real, life is hard, and if you don't have hope that things are going to get better, then you're not going to take the steps to go forward and start having an awakening. So my goal is for the YouTube and podcast channel, and I'd like to have seminars and retreats, and I would just like people to have an awakening that what's possible for them,
Right. Well, let me ask you, your podcast is called, it has a name, it's born to be brave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Born to be brave. I see it right there. You have it right there. So is that a daily podcast? Is that a weekly podcast? Can you tell us why the podcast, and how often you do podcasts, and what the flavor of the podcast, if that's a good word.
Oh yeah. So I feel like we're all born to be brave, and no one really tells us that. Like, the reason I was so unhappy earlier in my life was because no one explained to me, like, life is going to happen. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have seasons in your life, and you're born to be brave. This is what I wish I would have known when I was younger. You're born to be brave, and you're going to be courageous, and you are going to have days that you don't want to get out of bed. There's going to be days that it's okay to stay in bed all day. There's going to be days that are triumphant, and you're going to celebrate, and you're going to be so excited. But what are the tools and resources to get through all the different seasons of life? And so on the podcast, I interview people that I feel have displayed courage in their life and that are brave, and that their stories that will help touch people's hearts and give people resources and tools to process their life that in a more peaceful and manner. That's the goal. And then once a week they come out. But right now we have a backlog of, I think, 20. I've interviewed 20 people, I think, and we're getting the show notes. Eventually we're going to hire someone to help us with this, because it takes a lot to get the show notes and the shows up. But so far, I think we have 20 interviews of people that are not up yet. I started the podcast when Carter had cancer, and I was praying. I felt like I should start a podcast while Carter had cancer, and my other son went back on drugs and alcohol because he felt like, it's called sibling guilt. He felt like he's the screw-up kid.
Yeah.
And he should have gotten the cancer, not his brother. Oh. And so we all process things the way we process things, and so it was too much for him. And so I started the podcast, and it was called Miracles Are My Normal, because that was my saying back then. And still first thing I say every morning when I wake up is I thank God for waking up. And then I say, miracles are my normal, and everything's always working out for me. And then right before I go to bed, I thank God for another day. And then I say, miracles are my normal, and everything's working out for me. But we started the podcast then, but it was just too much to do the podcast. There's 3 interviews that are the old interviews, and then the new ones are starting to come up. And so, or there's 4 old ones, but anyway, that is that, and that's the message, is to help people. And I interview normal, just people like us that are.
Right. I was going to ask you how you choose your interviewees. I mean, the way I choose is it's usually somebody who's in self-development like I am, and who's had the courage to go to create a business, who's an entrepreneur, who wants to serve, who has a great heart to serve, and has an offer, and has a story to go along with it. And I just love stories, and I do the interviews just because I love to do interviews, and I just, that's what I do. I like to interview.
It's my favorite thing.
It is.
I find the most joy when I'm doing the interview. When I was a kid growing up, I wanted to be Connie Chung. She's a news reporter here in America.
Yeah.
And
I remember her.
Mm-hmm. So I love finding out about people.
Right.
Me personally, I learn the most from the
Me
interviews.
too.
And I do feel like our stories connect us and show our humanity and how much we are alike.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
heal us
I
also.
I do. I feel like they heal us and they give us hope because sometimes I don't care how strong. One of my past coaches, who is amazing, his name's Kevion. He got me through the worst time of my life when my son almost OD'd and
Hmm.
tried to kill us and just so much, right? And he was my coach at the time. And I've always had a coach and he helped me so much. And he told me, he stopped by one of my open houses. It was a God thing. God sent him because it was the worst night the night before, right? And I'm still at open house selling houses. And he stopped by, which he does. He's a half hour away from me. It's very unusual for him to be in my,
Hmm.
my neighborhood. And he said, and I started crying and told him what happened. He said, Colleen, you have to get comfortable with the worst case scenario. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, what's the worst case that you can see happening with Mason? And I said, he dies from a
Hmm.
drug overdose.
Right.
And he goes, when you get comfortable with that, you'll have peace.
Wow. That's hard to
And I'm like,
take.
A lot of people don't want to hear that, right? But it's true because when you let go and you're not attached to the outcome,
Right.
right? Because
So
I
true.
can't control the outcome, right?
So true. Hmm.
And it's interesting though, he posted a video this morning. So I'm going to talk about everything that happened last week. I'm going to make a video later today because he said I don't care how strong you are and how good you are at self help and how many awesome tools you have. You're still a human being. And
Right.
at the end of the day, when life throws you some massive curveballs, you're still going to have trouble with it. You're still going to have moments of doubt. You're still going to have moments of uncertainty. You're still going to
Right.
be wondering about it, right? And fearful or overwhelmed, right? His daughter's been in the ICU. Their newborn baby had to be, it's at that same hospital where my son was. And
Wow.
it's a magical hospital. But I'm just saying, he was just sharing that he was having some moments of doubt and he reached out to some friends and he's really glad that he's sharing that even he, who's really strong,
Right.
had moments of doubt, right? And that's normal. That's part of our humanity too. I don't just share the highlights. Like, this is real Colleen, right? Like, I share my life is, this is it.
An
I'm an
open
open.
book. Yeah, kind
Mhm.
of. Which is great because it can help so many people. You're just so authentic, being out there and just telling your story. And it's a story that all your stories are going to be helping someone. They're going to go, oh my God, I resonate with it. This is what I'm going through, you know. So we have quite a few comments here. Our fake Facebook user says, I had to realize and come to terms with similar experiences. And then there was, oh, chills, so true what you're saying here. And a beautiful ritual and affirmations and congratulations to you. And I can relate to that sibling guilt, great name for your book, and oh, for your podcast, I think that was. And then the help with the ask, and it is given by Jerry and Esther Hicks, So we do appreciate all those comments, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much for being live with us. So really, Colleen, I love your mission, your mission statement that says, this is not your practice life. I love that. Do what you love now. I mean, that is so telling. This is not your practice life.
Yeah,
Do
there's no do-overs.
There are no do-overs, right? It's
Yeah,
only
it's interesting when Maya asked us, what's your message? That was
Mhm.
the first thing that came to my mind was, this isn't your practice life. Don't let your fears determine what you're going to do. Let your dreams decide. What would you love to do, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And so much of our lives are spent in fear. And um, fear comes from Satan or where the dark side, whatever. That's, God gave us power, love, and a sound mind. And when we focus on our fears and we let our fears decide, we're just limiting ourselves. And I do really
Absolutely.
believe that each of us, I see greatness in every one of you. I post that a lot now. I see greatness in every one of you. And let your dreams decide. Don't let your fears decide because
Exactly.
Their fears keep you small, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So let me tell you, I want to ask you, down below in the tickler, we have a couple of ways that people can get in touch with you. All right. So of all the information we have below, it says Colleen's cell number is 562
Mm-hmm.
221 7744. I repeat, 562 221 7744, or by email Colleen Len at I was born to be brave, all one word, all one sentence.com, or https, all right, the YouTube one, right,
Mm-hmm.
and the podcast. So anybody can put in Facebook Colleen Barker Low and get all that information, right? Is
Yeah,
that
I'm
correct?
on Instagram too.
You're on Instagram too. So what we will do is make sure that we have all that information in a comment below after we finish this interview, so that people can just copy and paste.
Yes, and I
One of
would love it if people want to like and subscribe and share the podcast and leave a review. It would be awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's what you can do. Go listen to the podcast. I think one of the podcasts was "Is He Nuts?" and it's from Fear to Love by Dennis Schleicher. I did
Mhm.
hear that podcast. That was a great podcast between the two of you. So one more question, Colleen. What advice would you give to a newbie who wants to start an online business but doesn't know how, where to start, or whom to trust? I mean, you know,
I
what
think
advice?
that I think that the first thing that you need, I would love. I think you should find somebody who's already done it and align yourself with them. I'm really big on paid coaching.
Yeah.
I've paid for a coach. One of the reasons I'm a top real estate agent is because I paid for top coaching
Okay.
for someone who's ahead of you on the path, maybe even just a year or two ahead, right? But
Absolutely.
somebody, yeah, somebody who can tell you what to do and how to tweak this, how to do that, and just walk you through step by step. Or hire a course. People sell courses on how to do
Mhm.
it, and you can buy some courses on it. You can reach out to people and DM and ask questions from people, uh, and then figure out what your message is.
Exactly.
Figure out.
And we all have a message within us. We all have that X factor, as they call it, that expertise, and
Mm.
um, and get the message out to people. I totally agree. So, anything I missed, Colleen, that you want to add to this interview that I didn't cover? I do want to say you do have a daughter. I don't want to leave her out. I mean, maybe, we always talk about the challenging one. So, do you want to say a
Mhm.
little something about your daughter?
Yeah, she's awesome. I'm so in love with her. She just had a baby December 1st, Kelly, and she has a daughter named Claire. It's so funny. Babies come straight from heaven. They're just
They do.
amazing, right?
They do. They do. I love watching them.
I
So,
love the smell, the smell of their head.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
she's
So,
amazing. Alexis lives in Texas, and she's the mom of two kids, and she does. She's brilliant. She went to George Washington University, but she does medical stuff, medical research. She's very smart, very, and just always just. She has such a good heart. She's just a good, wonderful daughter. Like she's 31 and married and has two babies, and she has a really good heart, and she looks for. This is the thing I love about even Mason and Carter and Alexis. All of my kids have really good hearts. We do a lot of community service with them
right.
growing up, and I feel like serving others is one of the ways that I stay sane, is
Absolutely.
that I lose myself in serving others. And all of my kids have the best hearts and the biggest. Even my son Mason, who has so many situations, he just re-landscaped. He's really good with plants. He just re-landscaped our neighbor's front yard and backyard, and it looks so good. So that they all have good qualities. Do you know what I'm saying? But I just love that all my kids have servant hearts. And if you're feeling down and you want to, besides focusing on what you appreciate, because appreciation, I believe that your brain, the stories you tell yourself in your brain is the paradigms in which you process life. And so you really need to ask yourself the questions about the stories you're telling yourself. And that when you start seeing the lens of your life different, right? And start questioning how you're processing life, that will help you. And then serving others. I'm huge on serving others. I believe that coming from contribution, that's how I run my business. My real estate business is all by referral. Everything comes from contribution. I don't advertise at all. And we see how we can serve our clients and their families and their friends. And I think that coming from contribution and serving others will be the best thing that you can do for yourself and serving yourself. Like, make sure you take time for yourself and you're serving yourself.
Absolutely. So thank you, Colleen. Thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate your presence here today. And we have all the information for Colleen in the tickler, and we'll make sure that we put it in one of the comments after the interview, so you have it all. I just also want to thank Judith, Sally, Debbie, who was here, and I guess there's a Facebook user whose name I don't know, John S. John, your husband, who also participated today in the live, and so thank you all for your participation. I just want to remind you that next week we have another interview. Next week is already the new year, January 6th. So unbelievable. So Happy New Year to you, Colleen, to your great family, and to all of my audience. And we'll see you next week. Bye for
Happy
now.
New Year, gorgeous.
Happy New Year. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Love you, gorgeous.
Thank you.